Hi, this is Tommy Stevens with K2 Enterprises, and I'd like to welcome you to yet another in a series of technology tips. Today's tip focuses on using Excel's trim function to clean what we would otherwise call perhaps dirty data. As you're looking at the data in the current Excel spreadsheet, you can clearly see that we have this jagged edge, shall we say, running down the left-hand side, and that is because we have leading spaces in front of several of those entries: apples, peaches, potatoes, etc. Those all have leading spaces in front of them. We also, and this is not immediately evident, we have some trailing spaces after a number of those entries, and whether we're talking about leading spaces or trailing spaces, if we were to now try to match that data to other data that did not have leading and or trailing spaces, we would not get exact matches. That is to say, things like VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP would simply not work for us. Furthermore, if we were to go in and sort this data, as I'm about to sort it right now, let's just jump over here and say we want to sort that data. Notice that our sorts are, shall we say, out of sort because, again, the leading spaces in this case are causing the data not to necessarily sort in alphabetical order, which is the way that I wanted the data sorted. So for these reasons and perhaps others, we need to be able to quickly clean this data. Fortunately, Excel's trim function provides us with a very easy to use option to quickly remove both leading as well as trailing spaces from the data. And in this tip, you're going to learn how you can put this feature to work to very quickly correct these types of issues. Now, working with trim is a really simple process. Really, all we have to do is jump out here. I'll jump into cell D2, for example, and I'm going to create a very simple formula that says that I want to trim all of the leading and trailing spaces from cell B2. That's it. Just trim that data. And now what Excel has done is it's analyzed the data, of course, in cell B2. If it saw any leading spaces in front of apples, it removed those. If it saw any trailing spaces after apples, it removed those. And notice, of course, because I used a relative cell reference there for B2, now I can very easily just copy this formula down the range, as you can see. And all of a sudden, all of my data is trimmed. Now with the trim function already in place, if I wanted to go in and sort this data just as I did before, and I click, let's say we want to sort this data in ascending order, we look and we now see that the data is not actually sorted. Now that's kind of interesting, right? Because clearly we trimmed the data, which means there's no leading or trailing spaces, but notice how the order of this data now is essentially the same as the order of the data over in column B. One final step here. Remember, we're still looking at formulas in column D. Let's take the data in column D, let's copy that data, and just in place, let's do a paste special values on that data so that we're now converting the results of those trim functions into formulas. Notice that that now is apples, it's not trim B2. Now with that data converted, with those formulas converted into the actual data points using, again, paste special values to make that happen, if I were to go in, of course, and sort the data, now I do get a true alphabetical sort of the data. Excel's trim function, simple, quick, efficient. It's a very easy to use function that makes cleaning up your data a breeze so that sorting, matching, and any other processes are not going to be affected by the presence of leading and or trailing spaces. Don't rekey that dirty data, use trim to clean it for you. Thank you so much for joining us for this tip. We hope that you'll come back and visit us again soon. And also let me remind you to please visit our website, www.k2e.com, where you can learn more about the technology training opportunities we provide.